Ever wonder why some ancient fields stayed fertile for centuries while ours beg for nutrients every season? Here's the secret. They didn't throw away their corn husks. They burned them. Not into ash, but into blackened gold, carbonized husks that became the living foundation of soil life. What sounds like farm waste was, in truth, one of nature's oldest and most powerful soil boosters, quietly doing its work long after the smoke cleared. Ancient gardeners knew something we've forgotten. When they charred leftover corn husks instead of burning them to ash, they created a sponge-like carbon matrix that could hold moisture, nutrients, and, most importantly, life. This wasn't about adding fertilizer. It was about building a home for microbes. And once those microbes moved in, their plants thrived year after year. No synthetic feed, no chemicals, just the hidden magic of carbonized husks, or what modern soil scientists now call biochar. How charred corn husks bring soil back to life. When corn husks are slowly charred at low heat, around 400 degrees Celsius or 750 degrees Fahrenheit, they don't burn into dust. Instead, they transform into lightweight black flakes filled with millions of tiny pores. Each pore acts like an apartment for soil microbes, those invisible workers that break down organic matter, release nutrients, and build healthy soil structure. Think of biochar as a coral reef underground. It doesn't feed your plants directly, but it creates the environment where beneficial bacteria and fungi can multiply and do their job better than ever. And here's the kicker. Biochar doesn't break down quickly. Once added, it can keep improving soil for hundreds of years. Ancient Mesoamerican farmers were masters of this. Long before chemical fertilizers existed, they mixed charred plant residue, corn husks, stalks and wood, with compost and clay soils. The result was the legendary black earth known as terra preta, still fertile today after 1,000 years. Scientists studying those soils found astonishing microbial activity, stable carbon levels, and a resilience to drought and pests that modern gardens could only dream of. You don't need special equipment to recreate this ancient technique, just some corn husks, a fire-safe container, and patience. Here's how to do it right. You don't need special equipment to recreate this ancient technique, just some corn husks, a fire-safe container, and patience. Here's how to do it right. Start with dry corn husks. About 10 pounds is perfect for a home garden batch. Place them in a metal drum or an old clay pot with a lid that fits loosely. You want limited oxygen, not an open flame. Light a small fire beneath or around the container and let it smoulder slowly for 2 to 3 hours. The goal isn't to burn, but to char. You'll know it's ready when the husks turn black, lightweight and slightly shiny, but still hold their shape. Let them cool completely before handling. Then crush the charred husks by hand or with a shovel until the pieces are roughly the size of coarse gravel. That's your raw biochar, light as feathers, dark as midnight, and ready to become a microbial powerhouse. Here's a step too many people skip, and it's a big one. Fresh biochar is like an empty sponge. If you toss it straight into the soil, it'll absorb nutrients meant for your plants, leaving them hungry. You need to charge it first, basically loading those tiny pores with microbial life and nutrients before use. To do this, mix 1 part crushed biochar with 1 part compost or well-aged manure. Add enough water to make it damp, like a wrung-out sponge. A good ratio is about 1 gallon of water for every 10 pounds of the mix. Stir it well and let it sit for at least a week, preferably 2. This allows microbes to colonize the char, filling every pore with living activity. Some gardeners take it further, brewing a microbial tea to supercharge the mix. You can make a simple one by combining 1 gallon of water, 2 tablespoons of molasses and 2 cups of finished compost. Let it bubble with an air pump for 24 hours, then pour it over your biochar compost blend. The microbes multiply like crazy, and your biochar becomes a living inoculant ready to work wonders underground. When you spread this charged biochar mix into your garden beds, use about 1 part biochar blend to 9. When you spread this charged biochar mix into your garden beds, use about 1 part biochar blend to 9. That's because the biochar doesn't just sit there. It creates microhabitats that protect beneficial bacteria from drying out and give fungi a stable anchor point. Nutrients that once washed away in rain now cling to the carbon surface, ready to be absorbed by roots when needed. Even the pH of acidic soils tends to balance out naturally. This isn't a quick-fix fertilizer. It's a soil ecosystem upgrade. The more you use it, the better your soil becomes. After a few seasons, gardeners often find they need far less compost and fewer amendments overall. The carbon base just keeps cycling nutrients year after year. You might wonder, why corn husks? Couldn't you use wood or other plant waste? Absolutely, but corn husks have a special edge. They're high in silica and potassium, which gives the final biochar an extra mineral punch. Plus, their thin, fibrous texture chars evenly, producing a fine, porous structure perfect for microbial colonization. Ancient farmers likely didn't understand the chemistry, but they saw the results. Stronger plants, richer soil, and crops that kept giving. What they left us was a blueprint for sustainability that costs nothing but a bit of time and curiosity. Modern gardening often focuses on what we can add, fertilizers, sprays, feeds, but ancient wisdom flips that idea. It's not about adding more. It's about building a living foundation that keeps giving back. Charred corn husks are one of those quiet miracles that do just that. They trap carbon instead of releasing it, improve water retention in dry climates, and foster microbial networks that make soil self-sustaining. Modern gardening often focuses on what we can add, fertilizers, sprays, feeds, but ancient wisdom flips that idea. It's not about adding more. It's about building a living foundation that keeps giving back. Charred corn husks are one of those quiet miracles that do just that. They trap carbon instead of releasing it, improve water retention in dry climates, and foster microbial networks that make soil self-sustaining. In a world where regenerative gardening is finally coming back into focus, rediscovering this forgotten soil booster feels more important than ever. It's natural, renewable, and proven by centuries of thriving harvests. Bringing ancient wisdom back to modern gardens. Next time you strip husks off fresh corn, think twice before tossing them away. Those silky layers hold the potential to transform your soil from tired and lifeless to rich and resilient. With just a bit of smoke and time, you can turn what was once waste into one of the most valuable soil amendments on Earth. So, if you're serious about growing food that nourishes your body and restores your land, start with fire patience and a pile of corn husks. It's ancient science waiting to be reborn in your backyard. If you found this guide valuable, don't forget to subscribe to Timeless Crops Haven, share this with a fellow gardener, and let's keep bringing back the lost wisdom that made the earth itself fertile. Because the answers to modern soil problems might just be hiding in yesterday's husks.